I saved some for you so that I can show you when you need to tackle crabgrass. Do not let it get any further than this or it will become a major problem. Even putting down a pre-emergent this year, I have a lot of weeds. It has been a really cool and extremely wet spring. We've had 5 inches of rain over the last 4 or 5 days. We got to check the rain gauge here in a minute, but I know there's a lot in it because it rained all night long. But the crabgrass, it's that time of year. It's going to start popping up. Don't wait too long. I have some all in through here. You see that lime green stuff right there? You can see it there. Oh, here's a big patch of it right there. That's all crabgrass. When you see that little baby crabgrass coming up like that, that's the time to tackle it. Don't let it keep growing. Don't let it mature. You either get your fingers down there and you pick it out, throw it in a bucket, or if you want to go the post-emergent route, sure, go ahead and do that. But now is the time to do it. I'm going to wait for things to dry out because it has been so wet. And then I will likely come in and hit it with the Spectracide Weed Stop for Lawns plus Crabgrass Killer while it's a baby. The reason why I'm going to go ahead and hit it with the post-emergent is because I've got some clover here and another little patch over here that I have just been picking at and eliminating as much of it as I can. But with the cool temperatures and all the rain, it is just continuing to flourish. And it's going to be hard to eradicate it just with my fingers. So while I'm zapping that, I'll go ahead and zap that crabgrass as well. But don't wait too long on that, folks. You will regret it. In the rain gauge, this is just overnight last night. A little less than 1.5 inches. Yeah. I mean, folks, this has been a record-setting spring for rainfall across much of our area here in Northwest Arkansas. Yes, it's great. Love it. Be begging for it here before too long. But I kind of would like for it to dry out at some point so I could do a little bit more in the lawn. I have been doing a lot in the lawn. Wait till you see what I did in the front yard last week. 41 new plants in the ground over the course of 3 days. Now that's all a result of so much rain. The intent was to kind of space that out over the spring, but every weekend has been rainy. So with all the rain that we've had this week, I knew that was coming. No better time to get plants in the ground before a lot of rainfall, so I don't have to be out here watering them all the time. So huge success, perfect timing on that. I'll show you that in just a second. But speaking of perfect timing, I was coming up yesterday. I was going to mow in between my big bouts of rainfall. I'd had 3 or 4 days without mowing because of the rain. It was starting to get pretty long back here. But I was walking up through here yesterday, and when I got to about right here, I noticed that some of these rocks were just kind of all scattered out right here. And then I kept following them and following them and following them. And then when I got to about right here, I went, oh, freaking no. I could tell I had a mole. All this mulch was just like popped up everywhere. And if you followed along last summer, I got me 4 moles last summer. Last year was a good year. I got 4 moles, trapped 1 armadillo, and I took care of a bunch of voles in the backyard. I'll tell you about the voles in just a second. Back to the mole. So I had a mole coming all in through here, doing lots of damage. And I couldn't really decide, where do I want to put my trap? Do I want to put it here or here or here? You kind of get a feeling for where to put it after you've successfully trapped and killed some moles. And I went with what I thought looked like the main part where he was doing his traveling from up there to down here or vice versa. So before I started mowing yesterday, I put my trap right there. You put your trap in, You dribble, shoot, and hope for the best. And if you have it in a good spot and you know those are fresh mole runs, you're going to catch that sucker. I mean, my luck has always been, it's not luck anymore, it's pretty much skill. But it's been within 24 hours, I will usually catch one of them. And from this window, hey guys, and from this window, I look out and I can see whether or not that mole trap has popped. And I kid you not, in less than 3 hours from setting that sucker yesterday, got him. Got him. Oh man, I tell you what, if you get good at trapping moles, it's a great feeling because you know your problem is gone. There's no like ifs, ands, or buts about it. When you use a lot of those deterrents, you really don't know how much they're working, but with a trap, when you see that sucker, he's out of here. But I'm not banking on that being the only one for the year, because last year that happened. I got one, I thought, yay, here we go. And then here came another one, and another one, and another one. But for now, we're back to mole free. And this is really thriving up here. I did not fertilize any of this the first season, but I did fertilize it earlier this spring with a very slow release, low nitrogen fertilizer, and it has really just completely blown up. The weather has been great for these blue star junipers, or blue rug junipers I should say, and these sea green junipers. Look how much these are spreading out. It's incredible. I do have some yellowing on the center of these, maybe from a lot of the rainfall. I don't know, we'll have to see. I have read where sometimes those, after about 2 or 3 years, they'll shed some of their older material. I hope that's it, but I imagine with it being the first week of June, we're about to hit a really hot, dry stretch, which they will like. That will dry those out, and we'll just keep an eye on them. But this hillside is filling in so fast, so fast. It's beautiful. This is too. This was all mud after this curb was installed. I brought in some extra dirt to kind of bring that up some. All those stolons of that Bermuda grass starting to fill that in. Looking really good. Looking really, really good. So is our little, what do you call this? Crystal garden up here. These are the ones my wife and kids went and dug up, and I added some right here. You can see how it kind of goes and then comes back up and then down again. It just had this real sharp cutoff right here, and we had some more, so we went ahead and added some just to give it a little bit more flow and peaks and valleys. I think it turned out really, really good. But I mentioned those voles a while ago. Last fall, I had, with all this construction going on back here, it's just been pushing wildlife towards our back fence. And last fall, I had, can we call it an infestation? Maybe just a colony of voles, not moles, voles. They kind of look like mice, but shorter tails, little, almost like a teardrop looking animal. And they completely ravaged all along this fence line, eating the dormant Bermuda grass. It's really started to fill in nicely back towards the fence, but over the winter, this was bare. I mean, it was just bare. But Bermuda is going to fill in on its own. No reason to freak her out. No reason to worry. No reason to reseed, sod, whatever. It'll take care of it for you unless you are just one impatient person. Took care of it. This corner back here really got hit by the voles. I mean, they ate all the way out to here. And so it's really started to take this over. This is going to be tough right here. We've had so much rain that it's just all eroded out. But overall, the backyard is looking awesome. The front yard's really coming along. We have had a little bit more heat, but the backyard on the south side, really thriving right now. And I'm mowing it a little bit taller, and it just, whew, it just looks good. It just looks good. It was a little too tall yesterday when I mowed it. It's probably cut off a little bit more than I should. Had some pretty heavy grass clippings. We're used to in the past I would go ahead and double cut that to get those grass clippings mulched up a little bit more so they weren't as visible in lines up and down the lawn. But I'm gonna tell you what, folks, I think myself, and maybe I speak for some of you, we get into this turf hobby, this whatever you want to call it, lawn care, turf management, grass. We get into it because we just kind of want to make our lawns nicer than it's ever been. Then all of a sudden we start watching videos on YouTube and following things on Facebook, and before you know it, we are all in. I was there. Raise your hand. Who caught that bug? Well, I definitely did. And you start getting into this, man, I want to see how far I can take it mode. That was me, at least. And it became more of a, I want to just see if I can do it type thing. Can I have that perfectly manicured, real mode, low turf? Is it something that I can accomplish, or is it really as difficult and time consuming as sometimes it's made out to be online? Well, guess what? I found out, folks, it's really not that hard. It is time consuming, but it's not that difficult if you just know the basic steps. Mow, fertilize, water, take care of weeds. If you've got the right temperatures, right sunlight, the right amount of irrigation, it's really not that hard to have a really nice lawn. So since I've kind of been there, done that, I've backtracked on things and found ways to excite myself in the yard besides just having nice grass. And I think if you find other things to complement the grass, you'll find that you don't have to give it so much attention and it still looks amazing. Because to me, this might not be what everybody else wants if they're just a grass only type of person. But for me, this is where it's at. Pretty low maintenance, just mowing it about twice a week, rainfall, 1 round of fertilizer so far this year. So where I'm expending all of my extra effort and all of my other time is on the planting. I told you I planted 41 plants, and we still have, look, my wife was like, oh, we got so much. We have so much, that's going to take up so much space. And then once we got it all in the ground, she was like, oh my gosh, we still have so much to go. I thought that was going to take up a lot more. Of course, I knew it wasn't going to. 41 plants. We tackled all the mulch beds in front of the house, closest to the house. Got the plants in the ground, and because I was thinking about 2 years ago when I put all the mulch in between these walls, I mean, I stacked it super, super, super high and thick so it could start breaking down into organic matter. But I also wanted to have some extra mulch here that I could use when I started planting instead of having to buy new mulch all the time. And up here next to the house, after I got the plants in the ground, that's where I used it. This was a project, folks. But look at this. Tell me what you think. Of course, we still have some growing in to go. I mean, this is just the first seed. Of course, yeah. As soon as I do a video, it's time for someone to mow. But look at this. We got some big blue, Larope, however you want to say it, monkey grass, some kaleidoscope abelias. Plan on coming in here one day and putting in, possibly next summer, putting in like some low growing stuff that'll flow over this chopstone right here, some sedum, maybe some artemisia, haven't decided yet. So it's not completely finished, a lot of growing to do. Some hellebore back there, I think that one's Paris in pink. Some hostas, 2 different varieties of ajuga here. Around some nandinas, that's the Gulfstream nandina, the lemon lime nandina, both bookmarking or bookending the front steps. And I'll show you what it looks like from the road, because I think that, you know, you think about all these things when you're trying to decide what to put in. We got some more ajuga here, Fire Chief arborvitaes. Those will grow up real nice, be a backdrop for this crimson pygmy barberry. I really wanted a jazz hands Laura petalum there. a purple something or another, but us being in zone 6, it just gets too cold for that. I needed to be in zone 7, and I had to find something that would give me as close to the look as I wanted, and that barberry will take care of it for me. One day I'm going to walk down these steps with a camera and I'm going to eat it. But look how this looks. And we still have such a long way to go. The Blue Star junipers and the Forever Goldies leading up the steps to those Nandinas. That's going to get a lot bigger. That is a sea green juniper. So you can see we still have tons of mulch space left. Tons. There. Then I went ahead and got a start on this one back here because with all these hills, I'm just trying to control some of my erosion. And we put a gray owl juniper here. This one will grow up real big, maybe 6 feet wide. We can keep it trimmed to the size we want it. It'll grow up, and then we'll put something down here along the lower edge to give it some more color. Hopefully we'll put something here, maybe something creeping that will come out over these stones and really look pretty in the long run. But I'm telling you, when you start putting stuff in the ground besides grass, your grass doesn't have to be immaculate for everything to look immaculate. Start adding in some different colors. I mean, just since planting this, we've got some purples and some crimsons and some light greens and dark greens and yellows. I mean, it looks fantastic. And the grass up here really starting to come along on both sides. So still a long season to go. Be interesting to look at this when we get towards July, August, even September. Check this out. What do you think? I like it. I like it. All my new bigger stones really helping with water, because all this rain we have had not just like light to moderate showers. Come on. We have had heavy downpours. And in the past, I'd freak out because I knew I was going to have some washout mess to clean up. Not anymore. Not anymore. That's why we put all this ajuga right here. So it'll all fill in around these Nandinas, because when it rains super hard, this small gutter that the builder put on probably should have a bigger one here. It just can't keep up to my catch basins down in the stones where everything flows. And it starts bubbling over, but eventually that gutter, if it's raining too hard, those valleys on the roof, it'll start pouring over right there like a waterfall and wash out some of that mulch. So that's why all that ajuga's there. There's a rhyme and a reason behind everything. I think that's what the fun part is. Sometimes with grass, there's not a whole lot of rhyme and reason or thought or creativity to it. It's kind of monotonous, if you ask me. And this stuff, I love grabbing my pruners, coming outside, clipping things, checking on things, watering things. It really is rather enjoyable. So if you're not in that kind of game, the gardening game of lawn care maintenance, I highly recommend you start putting some emphasis there. Doesn't mean you got to give up on your grass, but I think you'll find a whole lot of enjoyment in it. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. I liked it. I hope you did too. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of Budget Lawns. Look, I really appreciate your support, always coming to watch these, even though I might be a rambler sometimes. It's fun to talk with you. I hope you enjoy listening, and I hope you'll enjoy, gosh, sometimes it's hard to finish these things up. I hope you'll join me next time.